With me today is Bill Zartler. He's the CEO of Solaris Water Midstream. We really appreciate you joining us today, Bill. You know, it's been a tough several weeks, few months. Can you talk to us a little bit about how the last few months has affected Solaris Water Midstream?
Well, it's been quite interesting times. Our core operations of handling produced water from the systems have chugged along just fine. We did see 1st of May some significant amount of shut-in the northern Delaware Basin. Maybe put it in a little bit of perspective, our core operations are in the northern central Delaware Basin and some operations in the Midland Basin as well. But when prices hit where they hit in the beginning of May, we began to see a few shut-ins, so volumes came back off a little bit then. Subsequently, over the last few days and week, we have begun to see those wells be turned back on and volumes into the system increasing again along the way. On the recycling and reuse side, which we're very active in, the largest independent recycler of water in New Mexico, we have seen a slowdown in completions, therefore a slowdown in recycling demand. So if there's one area of the business that has suffered more than others, it's been in the completions-focused recycling of water. Now that said, when completions slow down, we see additional water hit the system that would have been recycled that's actually going to go downhole temporarily until the completions activities pick back up, hopefully over the next few months.
Thank you for those different viewpoints and areas of the business. You mentioned, of course, the water in the Delaware Basin, but can you also talk about Solaris having an extensive water pipeline system at work in the Permian Basin? How do you handle shut-ins, if you can expand a little further on that?
Well, shut-ins, when they hit, it's just less water coming into the pipeline network. And so what we try to do is we have 500 miles of pipe running around the basin and try to optimize where that water flows and where it moves, and it changes the hydraulics. If one area in particular were to be shut in and another area not, we'll actually manage to make sure that we flow that water to where we want it to go and manage the network of saltwater disposal wells in combination with sort of water balancing within the system, and trying to manage operating costs and pumping costs, minimize that depending on where the water was coming from and to.
And speaking about managing, I guess, plans and costs, can you talk a little bit about the long-term plan? Of course, no one knows exactly how long this will all last, but like you said, you are seeing areas that get better. Can you talk a little bit more about your long-term plan going through this down cycle?
Well, I mean, I think this is a short-term cycle. I think the demand is still there. I think our positioning in the Delaware Basin and Midland Basin is where activity is going to pick back up first. The water needs to move for the oil to flow, and so that's always going to be a core. I think we have slowed down the rate of growth, and we're flattening out a little bit here, but we are not seeing massive changes because we have to handle the water regardless to make the oil flow. So it's going to pick back up, and as it does, maybe we've been able to take a little breather in the business and catch up with some of our processes as it's been rapid growth over the course of the last couple of years, and seeing that happen. Ensuring we're in lockstep with our customers, ensuring that we catch up with all of our automation and all of the safety features. We've had a chance to take a deep breath really and get everything up to the level of service we want it to be up to.
And Bill, have you and the team at Solaris been able to identify any other new opportunities or different opportunities during this, or anything you expect coming out of it?
Well, we expect the water industry, sort of as a sub-infrastructure industry supporting the oil and gas industry, to continue to evolve and develop. I think that over time it's recognized that it makes more sense for the capital to be spent by an independent player, no different than the gas and oil infrastructure changed hands 20, 25 years ago. I think we're seeing that in water. We're seeing the fact that we now have 120 employees that do water 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and develop an internal expertise on how to handle water and how to do that. That may have been a side business for an oil and gas operator. And we actually can provide both technical expertise around the water business and the capital to allow them, and the shared capital so that multiple parties use the same system. It's actually much more efficient to do it that way from a capital perspective than an individual operator trying to build for his or her own activity.
And I'm sure being more efficient is definitely beneficial for everyone. Can you tell us how investor support for Solaris oil field infrastructure has been, if we could speak on that area?
We have private equity sponsors and some friends and family sponsors, and we continue to see that grow. We've got additional capital put to work. We had been working through growth opportunities. I think the markets have slowed down a bit, but it feels like they're beginning to reopen on the capital markets, both private and potentially public, for these businesses. We increased our credit facility during the downtime. We maintain a very conservative balance sheet and continue to see the opportunities, and the funding available for the good businesses will continue.
That is good to hear. And Bill, finally, with being a leader in the industry, do you have any words for colleagues or really the industry overall as we move forward on this path forward, but also the midstream sector in particular?
Well, I mean, this was a massive shock to the system and to the country. I mean, I think this is one of the times where the oil industry may not have actually been hit worse, despite the fact that we saw negative oil prices. But if you had a restaurant or you had any kind of other service business right now, it's not good. And so it will recover, and it's coming back. And so I think that, people need energy. People will continue to need energy. And, this industry is here to support the country and will continue to do so. We had, lots of people lost their jobs in the oil industry and in other industries. And I think they'll be back, over the next 6 to 18 months.
That is good to hear. I know a lot of people looking forward to that, as well as those in charge of the companies. So we really appreciate you taking this time and sharing your midstream sector expertise and overall as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica.
You're very welcome.
For more Hart Energy videos, follow our social media channels.